Hi, and welcome to another episode of Johnsequitur. This is going to be me talking about myself for like 10 minutes. Not really myself, just some stuff I like. I've wanted to do this for a while, actually. I just kind of wanted to spout off about some stuff that I like. So, in order to figure out how to do it unscripted, I went into the room with all my books, and I found a pile of books. So I figured I could go through them, kind of give a basic idea of how my brain works, based on some of my favorite books. So, look around me. Horror posters everywhere, right? I'm wearing a horror shirt right now. I run a horror podcast. So, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I have that is horror related. First of all, Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis and other stories. The Penal Colony, actually, I read In the Penal Colony to my kid while he was in the stomach. Like this is the first book I ever read my kid. Which is why he's going to turn out to be an idiot, probably. Mr. Be Gone by Clive Barker. Scary shit. Actually scared me. It's cold down here. That's why I'm so jittery. I just ate spaghetti, so my face might be a fucking mess, too. Anyway, next one. I was going through the library, and they had like a free book sale. And there was this beautiful thing. Look, it's got my last name. That's pretty cool, right? It's called Lady Luck. It's a theory of... It kind of debunks things like when you go to a casino and the red comes on the roulette wheel 8 times in a row and people go, oh, it's probably not going to happen again because it happened 8 times in a row. Well, each spin is independent of the previous spin. And that's kind of the stuff that this book goes into. I'm not really a big math guy, so I can't understand a lot of it, but I just enjoy reading about misconceptions, I guess, in guessing how things are going to happen. So, next book. I stole this from my former podcast co-host. It's called Crimes Against Logic. It just exposes bogus arguments and explains fallacies and stuff like that. Like, if you go way back to when I first started doing this show, I used to talk about logical fallacies, and there's a ton of them in this book. It's pretty good. Next up, of course, A Brief History of Time from Stephen Hawking. This book is mind-blowing. I don't understand half the shit in it, but I keep coming back to it. The guy can really write. And it's about quantum theory and physics and shit that I barely understand. The Disaster Artist. This book is awesome. If you've ever seen The Room, you're probably like, what the fuck did I just watch? This explains everything. How it got made, why it got made, how the director, producer, writer was the same person as the main actor. It's just wild. I think they're making a movie about this. I think James Franco is going to be Tommy Wiseau. So if you haven't seen The Room, watch it. And then once you watch it, read this book. I don't remember what this is. Now, this is going to get me some flack, I think is the word. I like this book a lot. A lot. And because of it, I'd never actually heard of Ayn Rand before. So I went and I bought The Fountainhead, right? This book is, I think, Rush made the album 2112 based on what happens in this book, which is basically everybody is known by like identification rather than a name, and 2 people who fall in love name themselves and become individuals. I didn't really catch the underlying theme that Ayn Rand was pushing. So I'm pushing through The Fountainhead at work when I used to work midnights, and this guy who was kind of a dick and used to fall asleep in the bathrooms purposely came over to me, saw me reading The Fountainhead, and was like, hey man, that's my favorite book. I never finished The Fountainhead. Kind of stopped right there. Ayn Rand's ideas, I don't think I agree with them that much, but this book is great. So if you can get past the fact that she's... well, maybe you agree with her. I don't know. I don't know if she's right or wrong. She basically is about the individual. And if you don't like that idea, you might not like Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand. Sorry, I always say the name wrong. Imagine taking this book right here to work. It's a poker book. It explains how to take down everybody at a poker table depending on how their style of play is, and how to adjust your style of play according to how other people's style of play is. I Love poker. There's so much intricacy and thinking and like gathering of information and processing of information. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I know that a lot of it is luck, but the luck only applies to the cards. It doesn't apply to the players or the people you're playing with. If you can convince somebody of something, or you can figure out what they're trying to convince you, that's really more along the lines of what poker's about. And because of that, it's one of my favorite things to do, play poker. It's one of the reasons that I've been so lazy lately with my videos, is because I'm back to playing poker again, and I'm fucking loving it. Okay, next. Really unknown Dr. Seuss book, and one of my favorite books ever. This guy, he's told to take his hat off for the king. He takes it off. There's another one underneath it. They're like, I'm going to cut your head off, man. So he keeps taking them off as they're leading him up to execute him, and at the very end, his hat is insane, and the king loves it. And just read this book. There's another one that has Bartholomew Cubbins in it, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I just remember reading this as a kid and thinking to myself, God, Dr. Seuss rules! I don't know if I think it's a bit of a strong statement, but this particular book I love. Anything Calvin and Hobbes. Anything. Literally anything. Best comic. Just, Calvin goes through these, like, philosophical debates in his head, and his stuffed tiger will, like, debate him back and forth. Meanwhile, the stuff going on around them is, like, just chaos of being a kid. So it's really weird to, like, see these kind of thoughts coming out of a kid's head. So, really enjoy Calvin and Hobbes. This one happens to be my favorite, though. And, lastly, 30-second quantum theory. It gives you starting points if you want to have a conversation about physics and stuff like that. But then when they ask you, like, the really in-depth stuff, it's not really going to help you. But at least you can get a solid footing with this book. It'll give you diagrams, very short explanations that are, like, dumbed down for people who have dumb brains. So that's it. That's my favorite books. I also was going to show you my 999 horror movie book, but it's just a book about 999 horror movies. Have a good night.